I don't have a script for this. Basically, when Socrates was about to be executed, he was found in his prison cell writing poetry. He was putting some Aesop poems, Aesop stories to poetry. It's a bit weird. He was like, well, I was told by the fates or whatever, you gotta make something. So he was like, maybe I gotta make this. Anyway, here I am making videos. I've seen lots of genres, and the laziest genre is reading articles in tech and business and just like reacting to them. So this is me. This is what I'm doing now. And this first one's gonna be a bit rough. We're figuring this out together. Actually, I'm figuring this out by myself. We'll have like 0 or 1 viewer for this video. That's fine. This is this guy, Matt Levine, a Bloomberg commentator that people in the know about. He's funny. He has whatever background. He has finance, whatever. He was, I think, a lawyer somewhere, investment banker, investment advisor, something like that. And he writes opinion pieces for Bloomberg. And let's read them and understand the context and react and have a dialogue. I will read the comments. He writes this whole thing. I'm going to start with a shorter sub little paragraph here because I know how your attention works. And here's what I'm going to start with. Blue Owl. One apartment development in the financial industry over the past 20 years, the alternative asset managers have become enormous institutions. It used to be that PE firms, you guys know what PE is, right? PE, this is a whole thing of PE, this is how they work, was a handful of ex-bankers copying together one leveraged buyout. Usually there's like a guy with a bunch of friends who would say, here's a pile of money, let's do some PE stuff. Now, Blackstone managed $1 trillion, and here's a misconception. Blackstone, they have $1 trillion under management. And they have, I mean, one might argue, but too much influence. But they aren't like the person who owns Blackstone doesn't really own the companies that are under management. They manage $1 trillion on behalf as agents of, let's say, other institutions, things like that. Yeah, Millie mentions leveraged buyouts, which is crazy because like when you think about PE, what you think about is this thing called a leveraged buyout. What is a LBO? And this is going to tell you a whole bunch of stuff. Oop, that's my history. Basically, you want to buy a private company or want to buy a public company as a private equity firm, and you don't want to put all the money itself down. So you use leverage. You should multiply the amount of money. You take out a loan. You do some stock exchanges, and you can acquire large entities without having to put all the cash down. And it's starting to occur to me that this screen test is going to be a bit hobbled. My AV isn't great. So let's just plow through the rest of this mini article, just as a test. The big firms do private equity, sure, but also real estate and infrastructure, especially private credit. I have a friend who really wants to get into real estate private equity, in which they just buy commercial real estate or large plots of individual residential real estate. And if they buy enough, they diversify away the risk. Reminds me of a wait. Who can say? Anyway, Apollo's ambition. Apollo, I didn't mention it before. This is another PE firm. Apollo is also, I wrote a paper on this. It's a long story. Skip it. Apollo's ambition now is not to do leverage buyouts, not to do this LBO thing. Is to be a one-stop provider of retirement savings. This is interesting. These firms have grown organically and by acquisition over many years to become gigantic platforms with institutional relationships and scale to do every business. I mean, maybe it's an ambition to like be able to cross-sell the clients, but this doesn't make any sense to me, honestly. You would have, I guess, if they're large enough and they have enough talent and there's lots of transferable skills for how to do this area of PE and that area of PE, they'd want to expand horizontally. Maybe there's just not enough money with the old leverage buyout thing, with the old model of we have a factory, it's not doing well, let's put a whole bunch of money in it to acquire the factory and do the MBA learned operational principles to optimize it. Maybe there's just not enough money in that old style, so they're saying let's just expand to do other sorts of stuff. Anyway, Bloomberg, this is Matt Levine writes, but there are still lots of small alternative asset managers. Ooh, like boutique ones. That's sort of like a pat in the back they give with the word boutique, who might find it hard to compete in this age of giant platforms. What can they do? Well, they're private credit managers. The answer is pretty easy. There are tons of traditional asset managers who are desperate to buy private credit firms. So you go and sell yourself to BlackRock or State Street? Ah, what about private equity infrastructure managers? I guess one funny idea is all the little ones should merge and become one big one. Oddly, there's a guy who can make it happen. And then they go into discussing this little quote, this very strange preamble. I need to think for a second. The co-founder of private capital investment firm Blue Owl is seeking to engineer a multi-way merger to create a diversified alternative investment giant in the mold of Blackstone and KKR. These are all, he's not even explaining what these are, it's just so well known. These are large private equity firms that have it on Wikipedia articles. If you want, you can here it is. Information. Uses for a while, have a long history, buy a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, apparently including Toys R Us. Kind of surprise. Anyway, that's what these guys used to do. Michael Rees, whose firm pioneered a strategy of buying small minority stakes in fast-growing private capital groups, has been sounding out potential partners for a deal that would combine specialists from different fields to create an industry heavyweight, according to 4 people familiar with the matter. According to, just asking people I know. You cannot indict this person who's reporting this. I'm just asking people. The billionaire dealmaker has pitched a tie-up between between 3 and 5 firms within Blue Owl's portfolio, which span private equity buyouts, infrastructure deals, credit-based investments, and other sectors such as real estate. It feels like 2024 is an amazing time to own minority stakes in every medium-sized alternative asset manager. We're in a wave of merger activity that culminated with BlackRock's $12 billion purchase of last week of credit manager HPS, a Blue Owl Portco. But 2025 might not be. Some executives now fear that the industry's power will increasingly be driven by a handful of diversified players that have scope to attract new money in the form of investors ranging from large sovereign wealth funds to wealthy investment investors and into retirement savings. In October, Michael Brandmeier, an executive at Goldman, warned that there are lots of PE firms right now that are investing their last funds. They just don't know it yet. It's grim. What's wrong with them? But also, I wonder if his own position might be served in sort of dousing the enthusiasm behind these PE firms. Who can say? Goldman is not a PE firm. Goldman is an investment bank. But if you own minority stakes in every medium-sized alternative asset manager, perhaps you can turn them into one big manager. So the thesis of this argument here is about this sort of horizontal spreading, or this sort of being able to compete with the large, big ol'... Look at the size of the Wikipedia article behind KKR, for instance. A lot of people on this video have never heard of KKR before now. I don't have an audience yet, whatever. People in general don't know KKR too well. Friend's girlfriend worked for KKR, long story. And so basically what they're trying to do is the following. They're trying to merge what was it again? PELBOs. Jesus, my handwriting. Not the most refined thing. If you want lo-fi financial analysis, this is the channel. If you want more professional stuff, go fuck yourself. Anyway, you want to combine 4 things: PELBOs, infrastructure. Jesus, can I reduce the size of this brush? Yeah. Infrastructure, credit, and real estate, including REITs. And these are sort of separate challenges that can be addressed by having a big pile of money. I mean, with this big pile of money, you can do the LBOs talked about before. You buy a factory, they're not operating things correctly. You buy Toys R Us, you fire half the staff. And the traditional stuff you kind of imagine as stereotypical PE activities. You can do infrastructure, for instance. I wonder if KKR did infrastructure. KKR disposed of audiobooks.com. They announced it would acquire Cyrus One data centers, not really infrastructures, but these guys are an infrastructure investment fund partnered with KKR, so they can invest in things like that sometimes. They have an infrastructure, energy, real estate business. What are they? Yeah, these guys don't do specifically. Let's see, Apollo, or let's say Blackstone, for instance. Blackstone equity. Okay, they're vaguely in infrastructure. I'll think of some examples maybe at the end of this video. These guys, Blue Owl, wanted to combine a whole bunch of people they have, or clients that I have in these things. Credit also refers to when you have like a distressed business that says, I would just need a few extra $100 million to keep the doors open, to keep paying your salaries. We're willing to sell you bonds at a premium. And when you sell bonds at a premium, you say, I'll have a high interest rate. And please, anyone just like give me money for temporarily. So this is like a distressed asset kind of investment. And real estate. There's like a real estate stuff over here that you can invest in that you're familiar with. So the thesis, I guess, is I think revealable in this, which is the KKR's 10K. Do you know what 10K is? 10K is an annual disclosure with very specific things you're supposed to report to the SEC. And here's KKR's. The business is this, they describe what they do. Look at the numbers. KKR has 100 billion, 200 billion in AUM, asset under management. And if you don't know what AUM is, if you have any friend who works in investments, you always ask them what the AUM is. It's basically like asking them, how large is your investment firm's penis? That's like a very like a macho thing. We want the biggest AUM. And you notice the very first graph, that's not always the case. If you look at private companies that actually make stuff, the first graph is not this, not this. I still don't see it. I guess it's different from PE firms. For like a private company, as I say, is here's the P&L statement, the income statement, and they'll. I see this nowhere. It's kind of crazy. I potentially don't understand what private equity firms have to disclose in 10K forms too well. What I want to demonstrate by looking at this is large. And this is large, and they want to brag about that this is large. The very first thing they talk about is the size of the firm. And it's maybe these guys, Blue Owl's idea is to be able to survive in an environment where the main highly diversified private equity firms are this large. And look what they're in. Look at the kind of stuff they're in. Real assets, they have infrastructure investors, percentages, et cetera. And the quantity stuff here, by the way, is in the in millions. 6,000 million is a billion. This is Global Infrastructure Investors 3. They have a whole bunch of divisions. Each of them has invests billions. These guys are large, and they are just basically a big pile of money. So how do you compete with them? I guess you do this sort of thing when you make a merger, in which you have sort of a horizontally diversified set of different sectors like that. And you can read the rest of these. I'll put the links in the description, maybe. But yeah, this is what I was thinking for videos. This has been a long and rambling thing. I'm going to test my recording software. I have a microphone right here. That's probably very loud. I have a camera right there. I have a recording on my screen. I have no editing software, so I'm just going to like make this kind of sloppily. And yeah, if this gets 0 views, I probably will make 0 more of these. If this gets 1+ views, there's a chance I might make more of these. So yeah, I think revealable in this, which is the KKR's 10K. Do you know what 10K is? 10K is an annual disclosure with very specific things you're supposed to report to the SEC. And here's KKR's. The business is this, they describe what they do. Look at the numbers. KKR has 100 billion, 200 billion in AUM, asset under management. And if you don't know what AUM is, if you have any friend who works in investments, you always ask them what the AUM is. It's basically like asking them, how large is your investment firm's penis? That's like a very like a macho thing. We want the biggest AUM. And you notice the very first graph, that's not always the case. If you look at private companies that actually make stuff, the first graph is not this, not this. I still don't see it. I guess it's different from PE firms. For like a private company, as I say, is here's the P&L statement, the income statement, and they'll. I see this nowhere. It's kind of crazy. I potentially don't understand what private equity firms have to disclose in 10K forms too well. What I want to demonstrate by looking at this is large. And this is large, and they want to brag about that this is large. The very first thing they talk about is the size of the firm. And it's maybe these guys, Blue Owl's idea is to be able to survive in an environment where the main highly diversified private equity firms are this large. And look what they're in. Look at the kind of stuff they're in. Real assets, they have infrastructure investors, percentages, et cetera. And the quantity stuff here, by the way, is in the in millions. 6,000 million is a billion. This is Global Infrastructure Investors 3. They have a whole bunch of divisions, and each of them has its worth is invests billions. These guys are large, and they are just basically a big pile of money. So how do you compete with them? I guess you do this sort of thing when you make a merger, which you have sort of a horizontally diversified set of different sectors like that. And you can read the rest of these. I'll put the links in the description, maybe. But yeah, this is what I was thinking for videos. This has been a long and rambling thing. I'm going to test my recording software. I have a microphone right here. That's probably very loud. I have a camera right there. I have a recording on my screen. I have no editing software, so I'm just going to make this kind of sloppily. And yeah, if this gets 0 views, I probably will make 0 more of these. If this gets 1+ views, there's a chance I might make more of these. So yeah, let me know what you think.